Hi everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. I'm going to give you my financial opinion as we go through it. And if you have any questions, problems of what's coming up in this commodities bull market that we are in, join finding-value.com, join our community. Love to have you a part of it. We do have a question and answer session coming up 7 a.m. tomorrow. I think today is the last day to use that holidays coupon code if you want to use it. And love to see you there. Ask whatever questions you got. I will be running another training session coming up next week. We can determine which day that will be during the question and answer session. And I'm going to go over choosing and selecting companies, the way that I do it. I'm going to do some training on what some of these leverage moves look like over time in terms of a company that might not be as levered versus another company that is very levered that's using debt. How do I determine which company to go into? What's a good risk reward? What is risk? Et cetera, et cetera. We'll go into all that stuff. And you guys can ask questions as I go through it. My job is to get you to be a better investor. And it's going to take, it's not easy. It takes time, it takes experience, it takes conviction and all that stuff. So that's what we'll be doing. So let's dive in. Let's take a look and see what's going on today. We've got the dollar here. Interesting looking chart and candlestick today. I want to go into this is the hourlies. Really big move up, a sharp contrasting move lower. It's all over the place for the dollar today. That's what this wick on the top and the bottom mean. So I would sum up today as massive confusion on the direction that the dollar wants to go and which direction yields want to go in the short term. But right now we have support on that long-term white horizontal support level, which has been a big support level in history. So we're bouncing and we're moving sideways for the day. 2-year yields also moving sideways. You can see that also had the same confusion as the dollar. And really, yields are what are driving dollar movements. So one can conclude if you're part of the milkshake theory, well, a stronger dollar comes from stronger yields, and stronger yields would come from a debt crisis, potentially. And then it's going to drive yields higher because copious amounts of debt are going to need higher yields to attract buyers to buy it. So right now we're moving sideways. Is that debt crisis coming? Don't know. But if it is coming, we would see this skyrocket. We would see yields skyrocket across the board. 10-year yield also higher, and we've broken this downtrend. A lot of the times we see a return move before heading higher. Don't be surprised by a potential counter trend move at some point, where I see that oftentimes in the markets. But we were higher today, 1.28%, and TYX, the 30-year, was up 1.5%, heading on higher. So what we have today in the market is bull steepener. A bull steepener is when you've got the long end of the curve going up more than the short end of the curve. And we're seeing the 10-year and the 30-year go up more than the 2-year. TYX TNX ratio is holding steady. Generally, when this goes higher, gold likes to rip it. But right now, we are basically compressed down here, holding low with an inverted yield curve with the 30-year and the 10-year. This one I find to be more correlated to the price movements of gold. Now, looking at bond prices, the 20-year, we were down. Remember, a lot of the times we punch through, and sometimes we can get a return move. How sustaining is this return move? I don't know yet. Are we going to continue with rates going up? And is this going to come back down? Is this more or less a larger inverted flag pattern? Do not know that yet. Let's continue to get data over the next trading days and see how this thing falls. It came up pretty strong. That's why there's all these big green candlesticks, and it's falling quite softly. So this support level, that white line I've got going across there, could easily support something that's falling softly, the way that I call it. That generally works its way higher, where yields could potentially fall and bond prices go up. 2 and 10, it did invert further. The curve, it's a bull steepener. So generally in a recession, the short end of the curve drops out. It drops like a rock. Drop it like a rock, that stuff. We're dropping, but it's not because the 2-year is necessarily weak. It's the long end of the curve coming up, and it's a bull steepener, which is very rare to see in history. It doesn't occur a large duration of time. GC, so we've got gold here, basically moving sideways, and I think that deals with yields. If yields continue to go up, it's going to be a little bit of a headwind in the short term for gold. Silver also feeling that headwind, but it's holding in there today. And then we've got platinum that's also up a little bit today. But again, we've got momentum, downside momentum in all of these that we're going to have to work off. And palladium is doing that full return move. Now, I mean, if you're looking at this, guys, this is your big bullish engulfing here. This is your return move. Generally speaking, this is where I like to be. Right there, baby. Give me some palladium down here. Moving on, XAU to gold ratio moving sideways, down 0.3% or so, and we still haven't broken that big, all-important trend line for the ratio. Does that mean that you should exit positions and go cry to your mom that you didn't make money in gold and silver mining companies yet? No, I would not go crying to my mom, probably for any reason, but the market conditions, what we're doing is we're waiting for the market conditions to swing back around. They're going to swing back around. If we're going to get a slowdown at some point, gold's going to do very well. Or if they do QE and yield curve control, that's going to be hurricane force tailwinds behind gold, and most likely behind gold and silver mining companies. So be strong, have conviction, and wait for this thing to break. I think it will be very fruitful for people to do that. CRB index, we are up today. Here we are moving on up. I know oil was up today. This is constructive. Why is this constructive? Usually on downtrend moves, you see large selling pressure versus the buying pressure. Now we're seeing bigger buying pressure and less selling pressure. So I'm going to stay I'm in the stance that this is probably going to go up. And I think oil is probably going to go up too. I think oil's trying to bottom. CRB index to S&P, we're continuing to work our way on higher. So that looks constructive. We got our bullish engulfing here, not much selling pressure, and that looks good to continue on higher. How much higher? Is this the beginning of a big move? Don't know yet. This is a fractal that I grabbed from last bull market, and you can see that we are in that general location. Even this kind of move here, we saw in previous bull market in a lot of different equities. So it's how can I say this? It is following the psychological trends of a first to second wave move in Elliott wave. And hopefully we can enter the third wave of Elliott wave, moving on up. And there are sectors that are absolutely ripping it right now in certain areas that I'm watching and that we're invested in. GDX, so GDX is sideways. Remember, the market conditions aren't there yet. We're waiting for this to turn back around. GDXJ moving sideways, same with SILJ. That doesn't mean I turn bearish because the price pattern and the pricing didn't move immediately. I am very much bullish on all of these and will continue to be bullish based off of the market conditions and the inverted yield curve that we're at. Now, maybe I'm a year early, but it's still going to come. It's part of the cycle. And if they touch at all anything that is QE related, this is going to blow up to the upside. Crude oil up 2.35%. To me, this looks like we are trying to put in a bottom, and hopefully we do. We've got a downtrend line that's broken. We've got a retest on that, and now we're starting to head higher. So what do you think I did down here, boys? I loaded up. Not on crude oil, but on the equities, a lot of the equities. Could a recession come? Should I be fearful of that recession? Should I be holding cash? Should I? You know what? The chart says that sentiment is absolutely garbage in oil and natural gas. We're giving positive signals in the technicals. I'm going long. And I looked at I've gone into Q3 earnings conference calls. I've done my homework, and I'm going to be bullish. Now, if we do get a slowdown, if we do get a recession, crude oil will get hit. What if we already had that slowdown? What if the slowdown is this? And that's that fractal that's overlaid on top of this, where it's giving me a little bit more confidence that maybe we've got a move higher coming up out in front of us. TTF gas continuing to move higher. I know we've got some cold weather projected in America. Maybe they got some over there as well, but this looks constructive, like it wants to go higher. So sideways to higher based off of bullish candlesticks here. Bullish piercing there, bullish engulfing today. And that's generally bottoming patterns there. Natural gas in America is also moving higher. There's your bullish engulfing here. And we've got a downtrend line break. If we just throw a quick downtrend line break on it, and we are starting to move on up. So natural gas is looking better, and we've got some really cold weather that I don't really want to put up with coming next week. Our boy XOP, yeah, you know me, I get it. You want to hear that. I think that this is what's weird. We've got oil that looks really good. We've got this ugly looking day there, which is a bearish engulfing. I don't buy it, guys. I don't buy it. And if we do, maybe it comes back to here and we get one last better buying opportunity. But I don't buy that crude oil is necessarily going to fall out of the sky, so to speak. Now, I keep my eyes on the long term. Shoulder, head, shoulder. Oh, God, that's big. That is a big asymmetric bet, and it's a bottoming pattern. Hopefully it plays out. And this is your pattern that I see all the time. And then it usually goes up. We've got OIH, which is also behaving decently today with oil. Not as much as oil's gone up. I think that the equities need to see oil go up to gain some confidence that it's actually going to go up. But right now, we've broken out of this kind of downtrend momentum area. We've come on up, and then I think we're going to turn here at some point. And I'm seeing evidence of some of the individual companies starting to turn higher, and they're on support. So I'm expecting OIH out, hopefully in a few weeks or so, to turn, and it could turn at any second. That doesn't mean that we're done going down before we head higher. Sprott Uranium Trust continuing to move up. This is an interesting chart. This is squeezing up. It's not a huge pattern here. So even if the downside's $24, maybe we get a little bit of a return, a return lower move. But again, guys, I don't buy this. I really don't. I would, even if I get the return move, I would not sell any of my shares. I'd be holding on because uranium looks really good for the most part. So URA down a little bit. It's holding on right now. A little bit of the dividend gap down. URNM a little bit lower, but still above support. And then URNJ a little bit lower, but again, it's still looking okay. There's nothing wrong here. Nothing wrong. TAN down 1%. I'm not a huge fan of TAN. Yeah, it looks like it could go up. It potentially could. But why am I not a fan? I mean, the chart looks good. Don't get me wrong. We've broken the downtrend. We've got all these big bullish and candlesticks. This is a return move. That's the ideal buy point, is right where it's at. But I just don't like solar. Solar companies they don't make any money. They don't make any money. And that's where I don't see a path to them making money. So that's what I'll say there. COPX down 0.05%. Still looks good. Big bullish candlesticks all through here. We've got the downtrend line break, and we're just getting a little bit of a pullback. Not much force behind this pullback. I think we're more than likely going to head higher. Uh, Copper's all sorts of screwed up in terms of supply demand coming up over the next few years. Lithium down a little bit. Again, I think this will go higher eventually. We've got a downtrend line broken, bullish engulfing, and then we're just hit some resistance up here, and we're just kind of cooling off a little bit. Same with REMX. It's the same. It's the same chart, the same stinking chart. SPX, we hit our head. We're coming on back. I'm not convinced. I don't know which direction this is going to go. This is a pretty soft come, if we were to go down, we would see this get lit up to the downside. It's not getting lit up. And I don't see buyers coming in here like, hey, let's go buy a bunch of S&P 500. So this is a tough call here. And what I would do is probably nothing. Wouldn't do anything. I do think that there's possible downside in this, but I don't see strong evidence for that. And I'll be honest, guys, I think that the government is probably trying to prop this up. I think they're going to take yields lower. They're going to try to prop all this crap up. And then they're going to buy, they may even be buying the S&P 500. I don't know. And then the NASDAQ also coming down. It's a soft selling pressure move. So it's not really that convincing, but I can tell you guys, this thing is priced very expensive. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't go up here and then peak out at some higher level. It very well could. But I don't play with stuff that is basically hot potato, and the value and all of your coverage, the wind at your back is now a stiff hurricane wind that you're running against. I just don't play those bets, guys. I mean, the symmetry here, I don't know. KRE up 1.19%. Looks good to go higher. This is just a breakout move, and then it's a consolidation move, and then I think we're going to continue higher. EEM's doing the same thing. I think that we've moved on up. We've got another consolidation there. We've got nice, good moves, small selling pressure. It still looks good to go higher. That makes me think that the market thinks that we're going to get lower yields, lower dollar. XHB, another one that still looks good. We're not falling off a cliff. We very well could come and do a return move back to the mid 80s there. We've broken out. We usually get a return move, and then we are probably going to rip it. Why? Because we need the homes. Homes need to be built. I've read some stuff where, and notice this, guys, this was going to go down if rates were going to continue higher. This turned the corner when rates went down. They're propping up the market. They're propping it up. This here is your Batman pattern. And if they kept rates going up, this was going to come all the way back down here. Them lowering rates is causing this to go back up. And then you can see rates coming back up. It's coming back down for a return move. But it might be short-lived. MU, trying to break out of this trend line here. It still looks good. And I think it's going to try to do it at some point here. We're just up against resistance on that trend line. Copper coming back down. And maybe we do a return move back down here to 370, 368, whatever it is. We've got iron ore down a little bit today. Not much selling pressure, though. So I think maybe we'll experience a very short-term pullback, fill in this gap maybe, and then maybe work our way on up. But that's what I'm seeing there. We've got aluminum down right on support. It's getting support now. Big surge higher. Small selling pressure back down. I think we're going to go higher in this. Could be much, much higher in my estimation. Baltic Dry Index moving sideways. I think this will move on up. Iron ore is strong. Coal is strong. And then we've got all these shipping problems. So I think that will continue higher eventually. Coal also moving higher today, up 1%. It's kind of a rough looking chart there. And I think eventually this is going to work its way on up. A lot of the coal companies are breaking to the upside already. The equities are being positioned in, and eventually this will move to the upside, in my opinion. Bitcoin down 1.5%. Oh no, all the Bitcoin guys. Oh, it's still sitting on support. Still looks all right. And Ethereum down a little bit. Not much selling pressure. This could easily go up if it gets pushed higher. So that's what we're seeing in the markets today. Thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel and website. Don't forget, we've got the 7 a.m. question answer session coming up on Saturday, tomorrow. And everything looks good. Everything looks good for the most part. You guys just have to be patient. Patience is what makes you money. So I'll leave you at that. Catch you guys later. This is Finding Value.